You and I, we have spoiled ourselves too much every morning. Ask yourself, what is the very first thing you do when you open your eyes? Is it reaching for your phone, then getting lost in endless scrolling before your mind has even woken up? If that is the case, admit it. We have stolen our own strength from the very first moment. Most people are like this. The moment they wake up, they let notifications, news, and social media invade their minds. From that second on, they have already handed away control of their emotions, their thoughts, even their spirit. The new day has not truly begun, yet they are already in a reactive position, chasing instead of leading, reacting instead of choosing. But they, the remaining 1%, are different. They do not begin their day in chaos, but in awareness. No rushing, no frenzy. Only stillness, discipline, and clarity in the mind. They do not let the morning be stolen. They own it. And by owning the morning, they also own the entire day. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to love." Yet most of us have forgotten this. The morning is your kingdom. You either reign over it or you surrender it. The question is, will you continue to indulge yourself like the 99% out there, or will you have the courage to step into the ranks of the 1%, those who master the morning, and in doing so, master their entire lives? Principle 1. Wake up with discipline, not with inspiration. The morning is always the harshest moment, not because the workload is overwhelming or because pressure is waiting outside, but because the very first battle you must face is with yourself. The alarm rings. Darkness still lingers in the room. The warm blanket pulls you back. The soft pillow soothes you. And then that familiar voice whispers in your head, 5 more minutes won't hurt. No one out there is waiting for me anyway. You and I are often the ones who obey that voice. We reach out, hit the snooze button, and let the alarm ring again a few minutes later, over and over. In the end, we lose more than just minutes. We lose our own self-respect, because one small decision, made the very moment we wake up, sets the trajectory for the entire day. A tiny concession in the morning easily turns into a chain of procrastination in work, in study, in life. By contrast, they, the 1%, choose a different path. When the alarm rings, they rise immediately. No negotiation, no excuses, no calculation. Simply stand up. For them, waking up on time is not an option. It is a principle. It is the first victory of the day, a silent but crucial triumph, because it shapes the entire mindset that follows. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I was born to do the work of a human being, not to lie warm under the covers." This is not just a nice line of philosophy. It is a stern reminder, a mirror for us today. Think of it as a ballot you cast for yourself each morning. When you hit snooze, you vote for the weaker, lazier version of yourself. When you get up on time, you vote for the stronger, disciplined version. Day after day, it is these small votes that shape the person you become. There are no shortcuts, no miracles, only choices repeated so many times that they carve themselves into your identity. Modern science has proven this as well. Morning habits strongly influence the nervous system and the hormones that regulate daily energy. Those who keep a consistent wake-up time experience less stress, make clearer decisions, and maintain stronger energy throughout the day compared to those who constantly delay. Our bodies learn to obey the rhythm that our minds set. If the mind is weak, the body becomes lazier. If the mind is firm, the body has no choice but to follow. Picture this. You and I choose to sleep in, curl up under the blanket, promising ourselves we'll start later. Meanwhile, they are already on their feet, drinking a glass of water, stretching with a few simple movements, stepping out the door with their first victory in hand. As the sun begins to rise, one side is still drifting, the other is already prepared. Who will go farther in life? Morning discipline is not just about waking up early. It is the symbol of keeping a promise to yourself. When you can trust yourself that if I say 5 a.m., then 5 a.m. is when I stand up, you begin building inner trust. From that trust, every other strength multiplies. Conversely, if you cannot even keep your own promise to yourself, how can you expect others to trust you? Discipline does not mean harsh asceticism. It simply means commitment. Set a fixed wake-up time and protect it as if your life depends on it. When the alarm rings, get up immediately. Do not allow yourself even a second of negotiation, and instead of letting lazy thoughts fill your head, replace them with a powerful declaration. Today, I begin with victory. The strange thing is this: once you conquer the hardest moment, the moment of leaving your bed, everything else becomes easier, because you have already won the most important battle, the battle against your own procrastination. And when you win there, you carry that victorious spirit into your work, your studies, and your greater life choices. Remember this: you do not wake up because you feel like it. You wake up because that is the person you have decided to become. And if you are strong enough to win the very first battle of the day, then the entire day will belong to you. Principle 2. Win the first hour with silence. Be honest. How many times have you reached for your phone the moment you opened your eyes? With just one small action, the entire world floods in unanswered messages, unread emails, endless social media notifications. You think you are just checking for a moment, but in truth, you have allowed other people, outside events, even strangers on the internet, to step into your mind and steal the silence that rightfully belongs to you. You and I are the ones who often start the day this way. The moment we wake, our minds are already saturated with noise. Before we even get to choose, we are pulled away. And from that very second, the entire day seems painted in chaos. We leave our beds already carrying heaviness, haste, and anxiety. Meanwhile, they, the 1% who are awake, choose differently. They begin their day in silence. No music, no messages, no social feeds. They sit down, close their eyes, take a deep breath, listen to their breathing, and let their minds clear. Epictetus once reminded us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish in matters outside. What he meant is, do not worry if others find it strange that you sit in silence, for it is within that silence that true strength is discovered. Science also affirms this. In the morning, the brain is especially plastic, a state of high neuroplasticity. If you feed it noise, you carry stress throughout the day. If you begin with silence, you build a solid foundation of peace and clarity. Picture this. You and I open our eyes and dive straight into our phones. Just one negative message is enough to drain our energy and weigh down the whole day. Meanwhile, they spend 10 minutes in stillness. They ask themselves, what energy do I want to bring into my work, into my life today? Which version of myself will I choose to show up as? And they step out into the world with a steady mind. The difference is not in the 24 hours that follow, it lies in the very first 60 minutes. The practice is simple. When the alarm rings, do not touch the phone. Sit up. Keep your space silent for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Breathe slowly, or write a few lines in your journal. Who do I want to be today? What energy do I need to become that person? At first, silence may feel uneasy. But remember, Silence is not emptiness. It is the space where wisdom appears. In this noisy age, silence is a luxury, and those who cherish it are the ones who truly control their inner world. When you master the first hour in silence, you build a protective wall. Chaos, news, and pressures may still come, but they no longer penetrate so easily. You carry clarity to face them, wisdom to choose, and peace to move through the day. Ask yourself, who is controlling my morning, me or my phone? The answer determines whether you belong to the 99% or the 1%. Principle 3. Face the day before it begins. How many times have you made careful plans only to see the whole day fall apart because of one small incident? A criticism that made you angry, a reckless driver who shattered your patience, an unexpected email that ruined your mood, and then the rest of the day revolves around frustration. That is you and I. We often step into a new day hoping that everything will go smoothly. And when life throws obstacles our way, we panic. They, the 1%, are different. They know the day will never go exactly as planned, and so they prepare their minds ahead of time. The Romans called it the premeditation of evils. It may sound pessimistic, but in truth, it is an exercise in clarity. Seneca once wrote, "He who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Think like a fighter. If he only trains with weak opponents, he will collapse when struck unexpectedly. But if he has imagined himself cornered, practiced standing up after being knocked down, then when the real situation comes, he is no longer afraid. In the morning, they spend a few minutes running through the day in their minds. They ask, what might test my patience today? What might make me angry or discouraged? And how will I respond when it happens? At first glance, this sounds negative, but in reality, it frees you from the fear of surprise. When you have already imagined traffic jams, you prepare for calmness. When you have pictured being criticized, you receive it as an opportunity to learn. Modern neuroscience confirms this. When you visualize negative scenarios, the brain activates the same emotional regions as if they were truly happening. This way, when you face them in reality, you are not shocked. You respond as if you had already trained once before. Picture this. You and I step onto the road, traffic jams frustrate us, and anger erupts. Meanwhile, they are prepared. Traffic might happen. I will play some music, breathe deeply, and not let it steal my energy. When criticism comes, you and I grow defensive and bitter, but they have already visualized it in the morning. I may be corrected today. I will listen, take note, and improve. That is the difference. One side reacts impulsively, the other responds with preparation. Practice. Each morning, write down 3 challenges you might face during the day. Next to each one, write down how you want to respond. Just 5 minutes, and you have already put on an invisible suit of armor. This preparation does not make you pessimistic. It makes you free. Difficulties are inevitable, but panic is optional. The pessimist fears everything. The Stoic welcomes everything. Remember this. Hardship is certain, but how you face it determines whether you belong to the 99% or the 1%. Principle 4. Anchor your mind with a Stoic truth. Each morning, your mind is like a blank sheet of paper. Before emails, messages, work, and pressure pour in, you have the right to write on that sheet what matters most. But you and I often hand that pen to others. A single criticism, a negative headline, a meaningless notification all quickly scribble chaos onto the pristine page, leaving us stepping out of the house with a stained mind, unsure of who we are or what we need. They, the 1%, are different. They know if they do not remind themselves who they are, the world will make them forget. That is why each morning they begin with an anchor, a short truth, but powerful enough to hold their identity firm throughout the day. Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor-philosopher, wrote every morning in Meditations, not for show, not for publication. He wrote for himself, to anchor his mind. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Imagine this. You and I leave the house with an empty mind, letting the world define us. One criticism is enough to make us angry. One quick comparison is enough to make us insecure. By contrast, they step outside with a strong reminder, echoing in their minds, I cannot control others, I can only control my response. Or, today is a gift, I will not waste it. When adversity comes, that reminder is the rope that keeps them standing. A morning anchor is like a compass for a sailor. The waves may roar, but the compass holds direction. The mind is the same. Misfortunes cannot be avoided, but the anchor prevents you from drifting. How do you create an anchor? Very simply. Choose one short sentence that touches your core. Just one. Write it down, stick it on your mirror, or say it out loud each morning. Repeat it 5 or 10 times until it sinks into your subconscious. Examples: I do not chase approval, I live by truth. What matters is not what happens, but how I respond. Today I choose discipline over emotion. Science calls this the priming effect. When you plant a clear signal in your mind, the brain filters the world through that lens. If you begin with, I master my emotions, then when conflict arises, the brain recalls the response you have already chosen. Remember, if you are not anchored in truth, you will be swept away by illusion. And those illusions, the need for praise, for victory, for recognition, are the very roots of suffering. An anchor is an invisible armor. It does not stop arrows from being shot, but it keeps them from piercing through. Starting tomorrow, before touching your phone, choose a Stoic truth and say it out loud. Let it echo in your mind like words carved in stone. At first it may feel awkward, but after just a few weeks, you will notice the difference. You will be less shaken, less easily pulled away, and a little more free. Principle 5. Master your mind before the world enters. The moment you open your eyes, your mind is in its softest, most malleable state. It is like wet clay, whatever touches it leaves an imprint. The problem is that you and I often hand that power of touch to others. An unfinished message, an email from the boss, a negative headline, a meaningless comment, and before we even get to choose, we are already programmed by chaos. We may get out of bed, but we carry the burden of the world on our shoulders. They, the 1%, are different. They know, if you do not master your mind, the world will do it for you. That is why they build a mental fortress in the morning, a space where only they decide what is allowed to enter. Seneca once wrote, "A man is as wretched as he has convinced himself that he island." His point, suffering does not come from events, but from how we process them in our minds. To master the mind in the morning is to keep the key in your own hand. The practice is very concrete. Morning journaling. It doesn't need to be long, just 5-10 minutes. Sit down and answer a few questions. What am I feeling right now? What do I need to let go of? What am I grateful for today? Which virtue will I practice today? Patience, courage, or discipline? Just a few lines, but the power lies in honesty. By writing, you separate emotions from your mind, turning them into something you can observe. If you were still angry yesterday, writing it down makes it clear, and allows you to decide whether to hold on or to let go. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Journaling reduces activity in the brain's stress regions while activating areas tied to self-awareness. It soothes negative emotions and increases control. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Picture this. You and I turn on our phones, see an urgent work email, and panic immediately. The whole day revolves around worry. Meanwhile, they spend 10 minutes writing down their feelings. I feel anxious. Then they remind themselves, worrying does not help, action does. When the email arrives, they read it from a position of strength, not letting it define their emotions for the entire day. That is the difference. One side is invaded by the world. The other builds a fortress of the mind. You can begin as soon as tomorrow. Before touching your phone, take a sheet of paper. Write down 3 things. 1 current emotion, 1 thing you are grateful for, and 1 virtue you want to cultivate today. Those short lines will become your mental foundation. Remember, the morning is not the time for the world to teach you how to feel. It is time for you to teach your mind how to enter the world. The Stoic was not born to merely react. He was born to lead first and foremost, to lead himself. And you can do the same with just one small habit. Master your mind before the world enters. Principle 6. Move the body to awaken the mind. How many times have you woken up, opened your eyes, yet still felt heavy in the head, sluggish in the body, with no energy at all? You drink a cup of coffee, thinking it will wake you up, but the fatigue lingers. That is you and I, those who let the body remain asleep while forcing the mind to jump straight into the grind of life. The result: fatigue clings all day, work drags, and willpower weakens. They, the 1%, are different. They understand that body and mind are not separate. They are 2 sides of the same coin. If the body is sluggish, the mind will be weak, but when the body moves, the mind becomes instantly clear and strong. Marcus Aurelius once asked himself, "What were you born to do? To lie curled up under the blankets, or to get up and do the work of a human being?" That question was not just to push himself out of bed, but a reminder. The human body was made to move, to labor, to endure, and to conquer, not to rot away in comfort. You and I often make excuses. Morning exercise is too harsh. It requires the gym. It must take an hour. And so we choose the do-nothing option. Meanwhile, they know that just 10 to 15 minutes of intentional movement is enough. A few stretches, some push-ups, a brisk walk around the house, or a cold shower. All of these can serve as rituals to awaken the body, sending the message, "The day has begun and I am ready." Modern science also confirms this. Just 10 minutes of light morning exercise increases blood flow to the brain, sharpens focus, and lifts mood. It is like pressing the power button for both body and mind. Picture the contrast. You and I drag ourselves to the desk, our heavy bodies pulling our minds down, slowing everything. They, after a few minutes of movement, step out as if wearing invisible armor, the body alert, the mind clear, the will firm. Epictetus once taught, "Discipline the body, and you train the soul." When you force yourself to do hard things like rising early, moving while others still sleep, you send a message to the mind. I am in control. I do not indulge weakness. This is the essence of discipline. Facing hardship before hardship forces you to face it. Those who pamper their bodies collapse easily before trials. Those who train each morning stand resilient when life throws challenges at them. Set a small challenge for yourself. Starting tomorrow, move for at least 10 minutes. It does not need to be complicated. What matters is consistency. Because the goal is not perfect muscles, it is the message you send to yourself. I master my body, I master my mind. The miracle will come. After just a few weeks, you will feel your body stronger, your mind sharper, and your confidence rising. When you conquer the laziness of your body each morning, you are also training the ability to conquer any challenge in the day. Remember, if you can command your body, you can command your life. Principle 7. Rehearse the person you want to become. Every morning is a stage. The problem is, you and I often step onto that stage without a script. We let emotions, circumstances, and other people decide who we will be today. One day we are patient, the next day we are short-tempered, at times confident, the next moment fragile. We live improvised roles, letting the world assign our parts. They, the 1%, are different. They know, if you do not choose beforehand, the world will choose for you. That is why they spend a few minutes each morning rehearsing, envisioning, shaping the person they want to become. Seneca once said, "It is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it." The greatest waste is the waste of self, missing the chance to live as your best version. After silence and movement, they sit down and imagine. They picture themselves stepping into the day with a chosen attitude, energy, and bearing. They ask, if someone insults me today, how will I respond? If challenges arise, how will I keep my calm? If I need to speak, what tone will I use so that I can be proud of myself? This is not idle daydreaming, it is a mental rehearsal. Psychology has proven that when you visualize in detail, the brain activates the same regions as when you truly act. When the situation comes, you respond as you have already practiced in your mind. Compare this. You and I enter the day with empty minds, explode at criticism, and complain about difficulties. In contrast, they have already envisioned since the morning, if I am criticized, I will listen and stay calm. When the moment comes, they act exactly as rehearsed. Outsiders think they are naturally calm, but in reality, it is the fruit of daily rehearsal. You can begin small. Choose one quality, patience, confidence, calm. Each morning, imagine one specific scenario and picture how your best self would act. Just 5 minutes, but over time, you are chiseling away at the statue of the person you wish to become. The Stoics believed that to live according to nature meant to live in alignment with reason and one's highest essence. And that essence does not appear on its own. It must be trained. When you rehearse in your mind, you turn each morning into a training ground for your character. And with time, you do not just have a few good mornings, you build a life worth being proud of. Tomorrow, when you open your eyes, do not only think about what you will do, think about who you will be, and then live true to that. Look back on the entire journey we have just walked through. The 7 Stoic morning principles are not tips and tricks for you to try for a few days and then abandon. They are weapons, shields, and training drills you can forge every day, so you may step into life with the stance of a spiritual warrior. You and I, those who often lose from the very morning, open our eyes and immediately reach for the phone, indulge in laziness, hand our mornings over to noise and emotion, and then the whole day revolves around reactions, chasing circumstances, letting life dictate the path. They, the 1%, are different. They treat the morning as their kingdom. They begin with discipline, not waiting for inspiration. They protect the first hour with silence. They imagine difficulties before they arrive. They anchor their minds with a Stoic truth. They write in a journal to master their minds before the world enters. They move their bodies to awaken their minds. And finally, they rehearse the person they want to become. Let me remind you once more, So you see the difference clearly. They wake with discipline. You and I hit snooze. They protect the first hour in silence. You and I let social media invade. They face the day before it begins. You and I panic when surprises come. They anchor themselves in truth. You and I forget who we are. They master their minds through journaling. You and I let emails and messages dictate our emotions. They move their bodies to awaken the mind. You and I drag ourselves through fatigue. They rehearse the person they want to be. You and I surrender and play improvised roles. That is the difference between the one who masters and the one who surrenders. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And the morning is precisely where you begin that journey. Not with grand promises, but with small actions, repeated again and again, carved into your very identity. You do not need to apply all 7 principles at once. Just choose one. Practice it seriously. It could be waking up on time. It could be keeping 10 minutes of silence. It could be writing 3 lines in your journal. And step by step, you will shift the trajectory of your life. The majority will keep on sleeping in, keep on reaching for their phones first thing, keep on letting the world lead them. The majority will choose immediate comfort over lasting strength. But you do not have to be like the majority. You can choose another path. You can join the 1%, those who own the morning, and in doing so, own their lives. Ask yourself, tomorrow will I begin my morning as a passive victim or as a stoic warrior? The answer does not lie in thought, but in the action you choose the moment the alarm rings. If what I have shared resonates with you, leave a reminder for yourself in the comments. One truth, one principle you will practice tomorrow morning. Share this with a friend who needs it. And do not forget to stay connected with this channel so we can walk together in becoming the 1%. Remember this, true freedom does not come from controlling the world, but from controlling yourself. And that journey always begins in the morning.